Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. That's the kind of girl I need down with my team. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. That's the kind of girl I need down with my team. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. That's the kind of girl I need down with my team. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. That's the kind of girl I need down with my team. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. That's the kind of girl I need down with my team. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream.
No Sugar No Cream podcast. Black Coffee No Sugar No Cream podcast.
Oh yeah. Microphone check, mic check. 1, 2. What is this? Let me clear my throat. I'm back again, episode 74. Back again, Black Coffee No Sugar No Cream podcast. I am at Ken Jinx on Facebook, at Kenneth Jinx on Twitter and Instagram. And once and for all, let me get the podcast addies so you can check us out there. Instagram at black_coffee_podcast. Again, at black_coffee_podcast. And on Twitter, we are at BLK Coffee_podcast 18. I know. BLK Coffee _pod 18. We start the pod in 2018. So that explains the pod 18. So thank you for joining us. Shout out to all the listeners that listen on various podcast apps and outlets. Shout out to the YouTube viewership. Thank you for your support. I'm back. I only have one thing I'm going to get off this week. And it's my guy, Mr. Kanye West, presidential candidate Kanye West. Kanye makes it difficult for somebody like me to support. But when you've been down, for as long as I've been down, I understand the man. I don't agree with some of the dumb shit he says, but I understand him. And I'm not here to come and make excuses. I'm here to give perspective. And it's something that Twitter with 280 characters a tweet, Facebook, it's just hard to get some things off. So what better way than to drop a podcast episode? It's great to have your own podcast when you want to get something off. But administrative items, again, Black Coffee No Sugar No Cream podcast, everywhere where you can listen to podcasts, most notably SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Google Music Play, Spotify, Pandora, Stitcher, Spreaker, TuneIn, iHeart, excuse me, anywhere you want to listen to podcasts, we should be there. And if there's somewhere where we're not, hit me up and I'll work to get us on there. Hope everybody's doing good. Hope everybody's staying COVID free. Numbers are spiking, but deaths are, I don't want to say deaths are not, because one as the deaths accumulate is one death too many. So I went on a tangent last week about masks. I won't do that again this week. But wear your mask. That's all I'll say. If you're going into the supermarket or somewhere where you're going to be around people, wear your mask. If you're going to get in somebody's car, Uber in, Uber home, wear a mask. That's it. Like I said, I'm not going on a tangent this week. But yeah, stay COVID free. And if you catch it, do what you can to shake it from you into 2 weeks or whatever, however long you have to quarantine. But just hope everybody's staying safe. Hope everybody's controlling what you can control. Hope everybody is prosperous, whether they're working, getting unemployment, or, finding new ways to hustle. More power to us all. So that's the administrative. This is episode 74. Again, Black Coffee, No Sugar, No Cream
Black Coffee, No Sugar, No Cream pod.
And let's get it. So, Mr. Kanye West, he's been a topic on a couple of occasions. We were recording when he went to TMZ and said, the mentality of 400 years sounds like slavery was a choice. A lot of people pretty much said he said slavery was a choice. And so here's what happened. He went to TMZ. He was talking about blacks being mentally enslaved. The way he said it, it was just like, man, if we still talking about being enslaved 400 years later, that sounds like a choice. So then Harvey Levin, went into a small little tangent and he said, are you saying slavery was a choice? And Kanye said, yeah. So, hey, I'm not shooting him bail. I mean, he had a chance to listen and shoot what Harvey said down. He didn't. So he has to deal with that. And it's a lot of people in the delegation in the black delegation that have not forgiven him, that don't care what he meant to say or how it came out or the fact that he didn't articulate himself. They don't care. They've taken what he said as basically saying the slaves didn't have a choice. And that's that. Some people have just completely canceled him. Some people just, won't forgive him. That's fine. He made his bed. He got to lay in that bed. He put on the Trump hat, the Make America Great Again hat. I was listening to a podcast, and they were speaking about the Make America Great Again slogan, hat, it came from Reagan, but if it wasn't rooted in a lot of, racism and white supremacy, that might be the best presidential slogan ever if it just wasn't rooted in, the racism and white supremacy. I mean, no other way to put it. But back to my man, Ye. He put the hat on, went to the White House with the hat on, hasn't been spotted with the hat on in probably about 2 years. Pretty much said through representatives that he won't put the hat on no more. He has apologized. He apologized to Kendra G in the WGCI Chicago morning radio show last year, or maybe late 2018, about wearing the hat and hurting so many people's feelings. But again, he put it on. He donned the hat. He has to lay in that bed. He's been very successful since all of this. The slavery was a choice, and the Make America Great Again hat. It's been very successful. Has released some albums. Has formed a church choir, Sunday service. Released a lot of sneakers through Adidas. Actually has become a billionaire. I mean, Forbes assessed his net worth is at $1.3 billion. Mr. West, Kanye, feels that his net worth is about 3.3 billion, but Forbes has used an algorithm. So based on Kanye's distribution deal in partnership with Adidas, he owns the Yeezy name, and based on his relationship with Adidas paying members to market, produce, and distribute his shoes, Forbes feels that the other 2 billion that Kanye is trying to claim as part of his net worth, it would be hard for them to give him basically Forbes is saying, without Adidas backing you with the production distribution of your sneakers, it's hard for us to grant you being worth the 3.3 billion, even though you own the name Yeezy, and Yeezy is the name. Yeezy is the reason why that particular sneaker, that particular company is doing as well as it's doing. Kanye, on the other hand, is saying, I own the name. We have a partnership. If I take the name and all of the shoes that I've designed, that it doesn't matter where I'm at, this is what it's worth, this is what it's doing, and it's doing this because of me. So it's just all about philosophy and how you look at something. I don't knock Forbes for not giving Kanye that extra 2 billion in worth, because honestly, he has to prove when the Adidas deal is up that he can take that name and take that design and do what he's been able to do with Adidas. So that's understandable. Kanye, being the confident individual that he is, and we'll get to that later, he feels that, hey, I can take this. I can take my name, my ownership, and do this with any company. You just got to give me the go ahead. You got to, be willing to give me access to the factories, the material, everything. And I can do this times 2 billion, or not times 2 billion, but, So, like I said, a lot has been going on. He's been very successful, his brand has gotten very lucrative since he's done all of these things. And, I mean, if you become a billionaire, when in 2016 you claimed you were $53 million in debt, and you do a 180 times 5, it's definitely an ego boost, which leads us to what's going on now in 2020. Kanye West has announced his candidacy for president. Kanye West, president 2020. Again, Kanye West on the 4th of July took to Twitter and said that, as he was spending his 4th of July, he had a vision that he was going to run for president in 2020, that it was 2020 vision. That was his vision, to be president of 2020. It got a lot of attention. A lot of people laughed. A lot of people got upset. People accused him of working with Trump to split the black vote and allow Trump to be reelected. A lot of people laugh because, hey, it's Kanye West. He's running for president. He's already missed the deadline to file to get on ballots in quite a few states. And it was just impulsive, out the blue, even though in 2015 at the VMAs, he said he would run in 2020. In a couple of speaking engagements, he again mentioned that when he became president, so he has had this kind of rhetoric, this presidential rhetoric in the past, but I think now that it's 2020, it's a very important election. A lot of people are feeling that the current president, Donald Trump, is not doing a good job. Not, this COVID that he downplayed for months, just has killed our economy. A lot of people are out of work. 33% of our American people were not able to pay their mortgage for the month of June. Sports are canceled. I mean, a lot of them took major postponements of their season. I mean, NBA is just now starting back up. College football, universities make millions and millions of dollars, generate millions and millions of dollars, for football Saturdays. That's in huge jeopardy of not going on as scheduled. And if they do play, the amount of fans that are going to be allowed in the stadium is going to be few and far between, hardly any. So the money's fucked up. That's just putting it lightly. The money's been fucked up, and Trump's very flippant, lightly, the way he did not address this head on months before it really came to a head and kind of halted the American economy. This is the opinion of a lot of people. I think it speaks for itself with the number of employees and employers that have had to halt their businesses. So, again, just back on topic, it's a very important election, and so when Kanye announced he was running, people had to somewhat take it serious because of his popularity, because of his success, because of his influence. You're looking and listening to somebody that is heavily influenced by his art, his success. So when I got the news or got the tweets and read the tweets that he was running for president, and it was kind of funny, kind of like, okay, hey, I'll give him a look just like any other candidate. I mean, I think people, just like any other election, it comes down to the lesser of two evils. I think in every election, I think a lot of people in the black delegation, for one, has always said, hey, normally the Democrat candidate is the lesser of two evils. So we're just going to vote Democrat like we've done for the last 70 years or 60 years or however many years that Democrats have kind of been the party of choice for the black delegation. But so with Kanye announcing that and kind of just tweeting out a few of his ideas, he ruffled some feathers. He did a telephone interview with Forbes, and I don't know why he talks to them about politics. I mean, hey, talk to them about money, talk to them about, what you're doing to, help the world, but to talk to them about politics and your goals politically, that was just, even though, and over the phone, that was just not very smart, but it came out he's not for abortion. He's not for vaccination. Planned Parenthood. He has some very strong opinions on Planned Parenthood. He actually denounced, I don't want to say denounced, but just said he's not on the Trump train anymore. Just, he ruffled some feathers, I think, with the abortion and the vaccination and, his views on Planned Parenthood. They were very conservative, which does not surprise me because Kanye has been a Christian biblical thumper. And, me and one of my homeboys, shout out to my guy OJ, we were just, we was talking, he called him a baby Christian, somebody that maybe hasn't been in his word for a long time. And those are the type of Christians that, can get off their square a little easier. So, but I mean, at the end of the day, he ruffled some feathers. So then fast forward to June 19th. June 19th, a week ago today, I was in here recording a podcast about Nick Cannon and August Alsina and the man Kanye, the Louis Vuitton Don, was in South Carolina. So he had one day. So June 19th, so June 20th was a deadline. If he got 10,000 signatures, he could literally get on the ballot in South Carolina. So Kanye flew to South Carolina, in North Charleston, South Carolina to be exact, had a very informal, unpresidential setup. No microphones, no moderator. To my surprise, there was a dude in the back in a suit that looked like security, but I don't even think he was security. Kanye actually had on a bulletproof looking vest that said security. So, no shirt and tie or suit and tie, did not look presidential at all. Had colored hair with 2020 in the back of his head. And the first thing people said, maybe his mental health or his bipolar, he has been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. So a lot of people felt like, okay, yeah, he's off his rocker. So I'm here to talk about the rally and events after the rally, days later, his Twitter tirade and his rants, and just what ensued after the people's reaction. But there was some controversial things said. The first thing, let's just get it out the way. He made a very hurtful, controversial remark about Harriet Tubman, and the clip went viral, and he hurt a lot of, he upset, I don't even want to say he hurt, but he upset a lot of people, especially black people. Again, I kind of feel like why do I know what Kanye meant to say or should have said or was trying to say? But I guess I do. I meant, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to let it play. I'm going to let it play and give you my thoughts. Let's see here. Let's see if this is it.
Promised land.
As you can hear, no mics. No, that might not be it. Let's see. Man, I'm sorry. I'm a little unprepared. Let's see.
It was a very hurtful
Yeah, here's.
that you guys had to experience for 4 years when I wore the Trump hat for 4 years. I want to explain to you that Democrats ain't did shit for blacks. And the most racist thing that's ever been said out loud is the idea that if Kanye West runs for president, I'm gonna split the black votes. This reminded me, what was Samuel L. Jackson's character in Django? Stephen. Right. I'm not trying to quiet your voices, actually. So I don't want to say that in an improper way. I just haven't had the time to word it in the most elegant way possible. So.
All right. Now, he just said I haven't had a chance to word it in the most elegant way. So so again, I'm not shooting him bail, and I'm gonna say that a lot during this episode, because I'm not shooting him bail. Because if you're gonna be president, you need to prepare. You need to prepare so that you can put things in an elegant way. But this is Kanye West we talking about. So now we're getting ready to get to the quote and the soundbite that caused the madness. Here we go.
So that's a Stephen move. When Harriet Tubman never actually freed the slaves. She just had the slaves go work for other white people.
Okay, so you heard it. His thoughts is basically saying that him running for president and splitting the black vote is very Stephen from Django-ish. I confess, I mean, if you listen to this podcast, you know I'm not the movie buff, and I will go on record as saying I've never seen Django. So, but being that Django is a slave movie, just like a lot of award-winning black films, I can honestly, probably correctly assume that when he says it's a Stephen from Django move, is basically having an enslaved type of subservient point of view as to why he would run for president. So if I'm wrong, correct me, shoot me a DM, comment on under the post if you listen, just check me if need be. But another thing, so when he said it, so he was getting ready to say when Harriet Tubman freed the slaves. I think that's what he was getting ready to say. When Harriet Tubman freed the slaves, she just took them to go work for other white people. So that's probably what he was going to say. Again, I'm not in his mind. I'm not shooting him bail because he said what he said. So he said it when Harriet Tubman. Then he said, actually, Harriet Tubman didn't. So again, I probably am very sure that Kanye wanted the reaction. And the reason why I think he wanted the reaction is because after he did it, he paused for 4 to 5 seconds and waited for the crowd to react. Again, like, that is so dumb of him to say such a controversial, hurtful, and bottom line, just not a true statement, and then wait for the reaction. And then what it actually also that it did is that when people wanted to, he gave the people that clipped the item, the sound bite, he gave them a perfect edit point to just basically clip that and shoot it all over social media. I mean, all the news stations ran with it. TMZ ran with it. So he gave them a perfect edit point. And so they were able to basically just say, well, Kanye said Harriet Tubman didn't free the slaves. He just sent them to work for other white people. And I mean, and again, that's what he said. He has to sleep in that bed he made. That's what he said. But we all know, especially if you black, that we're not slaves. We can, if we're being mistreated at a job, or we can quit. We can defy and get fired. You know, we have a choice. So what Harriet Tubman did was admirable. She started something, and now it's up to us, 200 years later, to take her legacy and build on it. And we have a long way to go, but we've come really a long way. So what Kanye said was inappropriate. It was not the truth. It was some bullshit. And the ire that he's received from people, he deserves that. You just have to do better. You can't say that. But again, I know what he meant. And I'm going to play the rest of the clip because there was another part. This rally lasted an hour. So once he got his reaction, he actually had some other things to say.
Basketball Association. National Basketball Association is not owned by any blacks. Universal Music is not owned by any blacks. Any celebrity that you see talking is not the real power. Because the real power that I am putting my mind on the life today to speak about, you don't see them. You don't see the real power. You don't know who's putting the internet in your school just to track you. You don't know who's targeting you. Black woman in between the ages of 12 to 21 that follows this person in order to buy this product. You don't know who's the head of the boards. In risk or no risk of losing.
Okay, so that's what he was saying. So if he wouldn't have paused and went right into, you don't know who's behind the NBA, you don't know who's behind NBC Universal, you don't know who's behind, the internets that are going into the schools, and he didn't give that long pause, so Baller Alert, Shade Room, and everybody that, can't stand him, didn't have that edit point, it may have been a different impact, but he gave that pause. He wanted that reaction. He got it. He got it. Now, let's get into the real elephant in the room. Kanye West has been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. So Kanye West is bipolar. So is this a bipolar episode, or is this just Kanye West being Kanye West? Let me ask that question again. Kanye West has been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. Is this an example of Kanye West having a bipolar episode? Or is this just Kanye West being Kanye West? Y'all like that pause, don't you? Okay, you want my answer? Two things can be true. This could be a situation where maybe Kanye West is having bipolar manic episode, and it's Kanye West being Kanye West. Honestly, I'm not shooting him. I'm not weaponizing his bipolar against him. Again, I'm not going to weaponize his bipolar against him. He can be bipolar, but he can also say dumbass shit. Both two things can be true. You know, and he has done this in the past before he's had a bipolar diagnosis. Case in point, 2000, and I got my notes, 2005, a concert for hurricane relief, September 2nd, 2005. Article dated from the Huffington Post, August 28th, 2015. The definitive history of George Bush doesn't care about black people. The story behind Kanye West's, at the time, most famous remark. In the moments before he took the stage at NBC's Universal, a concert for hurricane relief, Kanye West looked calm. Up to that point, the charity telethon for Hurricane Katrina victims had gone as well as it could have been expected, considering that it had been slapped together in a matter of days. That it happened at all was a credit to executive producer Rick Kaplan's team. Kaplan and his crew worked hard to make sure things would go smoothly on the set, and celebrities including Leonardo DiCaprio, Harry Connick Jr., and Lindsay Lohan had agreed to say whatever needed to be said and play whatever needed to be played. West was cooperating too. The hip-hop sensation's second studio album, let me repeat that, second studio album, Late Registration, had come out that week. West, who was scheduled to appear on stage alongside comedian Mike Myers, went over his lines with the show's senior producer and music director, Frank Radis. Like other celebrities on the telecast, West was slated to provide the audience with facts, the amount of damage brought by Katrina, the amount of relief aid needed, and so on. But by that point, the man who Time magazine had just named the smartest man in pop music knew the words Radis expected him to say would never make the airwaves. He tells Myers, I'm going to ad-lib a little bit. So do y'all want to hear the ad-lib? Let's hear the ad-lib.
With the breach of 3 levees protecting New Orleans, the landscape of the city has changed dramatically, tragically, and perhaps irreversibly. There's now over 25 feet of water where there was once city streets and thriving neighborhoods.
I hate the way they portray us in the media. If you see a black family, it says they're looting. See a white family, it says they're looking for food. And you know, it's been 5 days because most of the people are black. And even for me to complain about, I would be a hypocrite because I've tried to turn away from the TV because it's too hard to watch. I've even been shopping before even giving a donation. So now I'm calling my business manager right now to see what is the biggest amount I can give, and just to imagine if I was down there, and those are my people down there. So anybody out there that wants to do anything that we can help with the setup, the way America is set up to help the poor, the black people, the less well off as slow as possible. I mean, this is Red Cross is doing everything they can. We already realize a lot of the people that could help are at war right now, fighting another way, and they've given them permission to go down and shoot us.
And subtle, but in even many ways more profoundly devastating, is the lasting damage to the survivors' will to rebuild and remain in the area. The destruction of the spirit of the people of southern Louisiana and Mississippi may end up being the most tragic loss of all.
George Bush doesn't care about black people.
Please call.
In the past few days, America and people have been stepping up to donate money, to do all they can to help people.
All right. Bombs. Kanye West, ladies and gentlemen. Kanye West. Did y'all hear the rumbling, the stumbling, breaking off from ad-libbing, not knowing what the hell he was trying to say, not articulating, just speaking from his emotion, his feelings, not going, basically being rehearsed beforehand and getting up there just not articulating at all. But you know what? Black people felt that. Black people felt that. And honestly, that was inappropriate. That was just as erratic as this Harriet Tubman statement, this slavery was a choice statement. That was vintage Kanye West. That was in 2005. And the person that was trying to speak after him was Chris Tucker. Like Kanye dropped a bomb at that telethon. And again, when he said George Bush didn't care about black people, that was inappropriate. And that's something that he couldn't prove. But that's something that we felt. So we didn't say Kanye off his meds or Kanye having a bipolar episode. That's something that he felt. And so we dismissed it. Could you just imagine if you trying to put something on and you trying to provide help and you have a guy that just goes off the cuff, not speaking coherently, just speaking from his heart, saying how he really feels, but the black people didn't tell him get on meds, but it was still erratic. I mean, just listen to him talk. It's one thing if he could be a Bomani Jones as far as how he speaks. I'm not saying his opinion, how he speaks, how he can, get on the mic and just eloquently articulate his statements, whether he's debating or even Stephen A. Smith. Some of these sports guys and some of these other anchors, and that's not his lane. That's not his lane, but that was as erratic as it came. So my point is, I wanted to play that. I wanted to read part of the article as to what happened before he went on with Mike Myers. And just honestly, what's the difference? It's only one difference. It's only one difference. The difference is black people agreed with his statement. But 15 years later, black people don't agree with the statement. And not only do we not agree, what he said is not true. Yes, slavery was not a choice. Harriet Tubman did free slaves. But we still can't, I mean, you let the Obamas tell it the way they smooth up to George W. Bush now. It's like, hey, you know, now George Bush and them, they part of the crew now. They invited to the barbecue. So again, it's like, man, you know, Kanye said what he felt. But now you got the first black president that, you know, invites them to the barbecue. They sit together when they pay respects to fallen politicians. They trade mints and, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, what the hell? You know what I'm saying? But I guess the point that the reason why I played that clip is because the behavior has been consistent. And if you're not going to weaponize the mental health and the bipolar against him, then don't do it now. Be consistent when you talk that bipolar shit. And if you listen to this podcast and if you really been rocking with us, I am someone that is in therapy. Go to therapy, has actually had my therapist on the show. So I'm not that one that's just going to talk that shit about mental health. You know, I'm not the one. You know, I'm a advocate for mental health. I'm not saying Kanye West does not have mental health issues. What I am saying is it's quite possible that he has mental health issues. It's quite possible that that was a trigger. Hurricane Katrina, seeing what he saw was a trigger. Trying to run for president and what he's seeing today is, as he said, you know, black people, the Biden Trump campaign got black people like Steven and Django with the fear of he gonna split the black. That's a trigger. So this man went out there and said Harriet Tubman didn't free the slaves, which is false, which I don't agree with. I'm not shooting bail, but that's his way of saying get off that train. You know what I'm saying? We still not free. And again, now don't get it twisted. I'm not saying we're still slaves. No, we're not slaves anymore, but we're still not free. And when he said that, he said, we're not on the boards. We're not making those decisions. So until we're able to make those decisions and do for ourselves, we're not free. That was a fucked up way that he put it, trying to, you know, slander one of the people of the civil rights movement. That was wrong. I'm not shooting bail, and I'm going to keep saying I'm not shooting bail. But I am going to say this man's behavior has been consistent. It has always been times where this man's behavior has been erratic. He's gone off the cuff, and he's done shit like that. And just because we agreed with him in 2005 when he said that George Bush didn't care doesn't mean that it wasn't inappropriate and erratic and bipolar-ish if you are keeping track at home about the mental health situation. Now, this was about an hour-long rally. This was about an hour-long rally, and he said a lot of good things. I mean, honestly, if Kanye was a little bit more prepared, started his campaign maybe a year and a half ago per se, I would seriously consider voting for him. Now, honestly, do I think he would make a good president? I don't think he'll make a good president, and here's why. Some of his political, and I have my notes because I want to come in here and be prepared. Some of his platform, he wants to make marijuana legal in all 50 states. He wants a mass prison reform. He wants to abolish completely the 13th Amendment. He wants community funding to support "it takes a village to raise a child" philosophy, and I'm gonna get into that shortly. He said abortion should always be a legal option. However, there should be a welfare type system to support women who would choose to have an abortion because they cannot afford a child. America right now is in a white supremacist state, exclusively working to the detriment of black people. Joe Biden, he says Joe Biden is a racist. I don't know, that would be a political platform. God is needed to heal America. He wants to defund the police, fund education because that's where it starts. And the pharmaceutical industry is inherently corrupt and encourages addiction. That is his platform. Now just think, if he had a team and the right people around him that have the political experience, that shared those views, that could get on board and really campaign, honestly, I'd consider voting for him. No bullshit. I'd consider voting for him. And honestly, if he considered running in 2024 and he really took the shit serious and really hit the campaign trail and really just, had this platform, it's something that I would consider. I mean, honestly, what is Joe Biden's political platform? Just get Trump out? That's pretty much, we're just voting on faith if you really want to be honest. But let's get back to the rally. Time flies. I'm 53 minutes in. So, abortion, he said abortion should be always legal, but he wanted to provide resources and funding to encourage women to give birth if they feel like they can't, afford it. Look, I, for one, never gonna sit up here and try to, tell women, especially that don't have anything to do with me, what to do with their bodies. I think we are in a world where we've never had a female president. I think part of the reason why Hillary, ultimately was defeated in 2016 is because you had a lot of men that pretty much said, hey, women are too emotional. We're not taking orders from a female. And, we have 52 women vote for Trump, 52% white women vote for Trump. So then I think we have a lot of white women, not all of them, but over half, that basically said, we're going to, and this might be controversial, we're going to stand by the traditional, hey, women are fit to run the country. So, we have these people with these views. So back to abortion, it's like, it's always going to be a tough situation when you have men speaking on abortion. It's just always going to be dicey when you're trying to, whatever your view is, and telling women what they should do with their body. That topic for any candidate is just going to be, you're going to rub people the wrong way when when it appears you're trying to take the choice away from women. But again, Kanye's an artist. This isn't the first time he's had these views, and that's the thing. When with me being a huge Kanye West music fan, like I've had a little. It's been it's been some verses where he spoke on it, and that's when he said that, like, it really doesn't surprise me that he has these views, and he had just had these views ever since he been Bible thumping per se. He's always rapped about it. Like, this is a song on the Watch the Throne album in 2013, where he shares some views. I know YouTube may bleep it out or mute it, but I'm gonna play it anyway for you. But here's just a quick line where he's speaking on abortion, Planned Parenthood, etc. I mean, do I need to play that again? Like, I mean, he kind of telling us how he feel. I mean, that was the joy off Watch the Throne. I mean, but again, maybe he should just rap his campaigns instead of speak, because obviously he don't speak well and articulate his points as well as he raps about them. And but again, moving along, there was another clip that went viral, and probably costing more than an election. I mean, it could be something that may cost him his marriage. But Kanye pretty much disclosed that when his wife Kim Kardashian was pregnant with their first child, he wanted her to seriously contemplate abortion, aborting his first child. And, he said to the point where he pretty much said, I almost killed my daughter, which I don't like that verbiage, but that's how he feels. I almost killed my daughter. And he also said his dad wanted his mom to abort him. And so, when he broke down and started crying, a lot of people felt like, he's off his rocker. He's crying and stuff like that. But this was in response to a young lady that had came on stage that I guess had just had gotten an abortion a few months prior, and so his views on abortion really, she really disagreed with them, and so she was just trying to, articulate her feelings about articulate her feelings in disagreement with his views about abortion. So he became transparent and to the point vulnerable where he disclosed some very private information about what happened with him and his first child, and what happened with him and his mother having that decision, maybe receiving pressure from his father to abort him. So he was like, man, if my mother would have listened to my father, we wouldn't have, the world wouldn't have been able to witness Kanye West. I almost aborted my first child. And then he broke down crying. So again, people took the crying as a weakness. People took the crying as, some mental health issue. But I mean, when you look at a man that has 4 children, love his family, that lost his mother, I mean, the fact that you almost made that decision, I mean, that could probably break you down. Like, does that mean that your mental health is I mean, yeah, it is a mental health issue. I mean, everything are triggers, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can drive past a barbecue joint and smell the smell of the wood and the flames and be like, damn, that's a trigger. Like, maybe I wasn't thinking about food, but now I'm thinking about food. Or I could be, see a girl with a fatty and think about whatever. Or I could be a preacher in the pulpit and I have a 1,000-member congregation, and somebody I used to mess with or be involved with is in the congregation, and I'm looking out in the congregation and I spot her, and then I'm thinking that about that time 30 years ago when we had a fun night to get, like, a lot of things are triggers. So talking about abortion and a young lady getting on stage and communicating her experience and her life and things that went on in her life and why she found it fit to not keep a baby. I mean, Kanye was just really trying to empathize and have a conversation with the young lady, but because he invoked his life experience and what happened with him, and just the thought of a youngster, his firstborn, the fact that it's possible, like, one decision or that she no longer here, that broke him down. But again, having bipolar people and them not really, and them really want him to get out the way. That's the main issue. Them really wanting him to get out the way. Like, look, we are going to ride this Biden train to get Trump out of here. That's the plan. That's the ideology that Black folks have agreed to do, is to say, hey, in 2020, it's Biden. That's what we're going with. Anything else is just a plot to split votes. And Kanye's history with wearing the Trump hat, publicly supporting him, that is the bed he has to lay. I mean, but as a person that feel like I follow his career, I mean, I've looked it up. I have not, on record, nobody has said, Kanye West has donated X amount of dollars to this Trump, Republican, any type of Republican conservative party. He has yet to do that. He actually donated to Hillary's campaign in 2016. He's donated to different organizations in Chicago, his hometown. He's donated to a mayor that really had no chance. He paid all her fees, paid off her debt so that when she campaigned, it could be she could have a clean slate. So I mean, I haven't found anything conservative that Kanye West has ever donated to. So at the end of the day, we have pretty much decided that Biden is the person, even though we don't know not one damn policy. He has a horrible history. Of course, we can all point to the crime bill, some of the things he said about sending his children to public schools, which is, equivalent to sending them to the jungle, his views on, marijuana being the gateway drug, having so many years in politics and really not having much to show for it. A lot of things, being Obama's vice president, a lot of things were not able to get past. But at the end of the day, this is what black people, this is the ledge black people gonna be on for 2020 is Biden, just to get Trump out. We'll worry about his policies or what he actually planned to do after he tried to get Trump out, and Kanye is just in the way. That's just what it is. He knows it. But he's arrogant enough. He's had enough success. He's always been told, you're not good enough rapper. You're not, you can't do this. You can't you can't have these beats and give them to gospel, to put them on top of gospel music or Christian music. He's actually dumb enough, arrogant enough to think that he really can be president. And maybe that's because Trump is in there now, but he really thinks he can be president. And that's motivated him. That's what got him where he's at in his career. Now I've been rambling. I sound like Kanye West at the damn Katrina telethon. But let's get to what ensued after the rally. So he had the signatures, didn't turn them in, so he's not on the ballot in South Carolina. So he's not on the ballot. So I want to say Monday or Tuesday night. I think it was Monday night. So that would be June 20th. That night, he just started shooting off a bunch of tweets about his family, that to come and get him. Everybody knows the movie Get Out was about him. That one was kind of, when I seen that, it was just like, oh, okay, what's going on with Ye? He said, Chris, you and Calm Ye. So he calls Chris's boyfriend, Corey Gamble's Calm Ye. You're not allowed to around my children. He said, I work hard so North won't have to do a Playboy spread. So he just started rambling off a bunch of tweets. And so I took this as he's going through it at home. His wife, his family, his wife and their family are upset that he said what he said at the rally about North, and the abortion. He's, going through an episode. Both things can be true. Like if you are going through something at home, you can be triggered too. Like, I'm not going to sit up here and just blame everything on mental health, and again, I'm not this person that doesn't have mental health. I mean, when I started going to see my therapist in 2018, we saw each other every other week for about 16 months. And it was just one session we were going through, and it was just one of those sessions where it was just talking, like nothing really was pressing, nothing was going on that was of any concern. And we were just talking, just whatever. Like, she was just letting me speak or whatever. And towards the end of the session, she was just like, man, I just wish I could have recorded your very first session and today's session. You just see and hear the difference in just your tone and your outlook and just how things, and just how the drastic change that you've made. And I was like, yeah, it's just, I can't remember like everything what was said, but she was like, I mean, I'll just go ahead and say it, but when we first started talking, after a few sessions, you were going through a depression. You were depressed. And I said, and this is one thing I do remember, I said, you know what? I've always wondered if you had diagnosed me with anything. I always wondered, but I just knew it was going so well that I just didn't even want to know if there was a label. And she was like, I always just try to, let's get through it. I'm not big on labels, but let's just get through it. But yeah, I mean, if we're being technical, yeah, I would say that, as a therapist, you were depressed. You were going through a depression when we first started speaking. So I'm saying all that to say, I'm not downplaying Kanye's mental health. I'm not downplaying his mental health. I mean, if he has a bipolar diagnosis, I understand that he's bipolar, so he can go through episodes, and there are triggers that will spur that on, no doubt. But what if those triggers are family, work, money, responsibility? Those things can be triggers, so when you have those variables that go on in your life, they can trigger you. You don't have to be bipolar to be triggered. Like I said, we can have a trigger to go eat just driving past somewhere with a long line. Like, dang, that food must be fire. It's a long line. Excuse me. So it could be a bipolar episode, but it could also be the honest to God truth that he don't want his wife and Corey Gamble's to see his children. Two things can be true. So I just feel like I'm just tired of these online therapists and psychologists and psychotherapists ain't stepped in a therapy session in their life, doing all this assessment, talking about this man need meds, this, that, and the other. It's like, at the end of the day, Mez got 1,001 side effects. He's a creator. He's an artist. He creates art. You have to be in a space to do that. That's what's gotten him to billionaire status. And furthermore, if I had a chance to talk to Kanye, I would tell him, like, listen, man, find you a good, trustworthy, don't use nobody's, I mean, you can do recommendations, but find you a good, trustworthy therapist that you trust, that you can go see, because bipolar can be treated with psychotherapy. And so when we talk about Kanye being bipolar and having those triggers, a lot of things that I don't think people caught is when he said, my dad wanted to abort me. So we don't know how long he's known that. We don't know what those conversations was like when he was told that. So we don't know the effect that had on him. But when you talk about the lofty goals and the lofty expectations and the ambition and the far-fetched goals that he sets for himself and the things that he sets out to accomplish that may sound like bullshit to me and you, but then when he accomplishes them, all we can do is give him some hand claps. And it's just like in the back of his mind, his dad didn't want him. His dad was too busy, as he described it. So to me, that was just like, that said a lot. That told me a lot about him and why he might be, and I hate the term, I despise the word, narcissism or narcissist or whatever, but I guess in a very, in a way, narcissism means just kind of self-centered, maybe, him being self-centered, self-driven, self-centered to the point where it just drives him and his ambition is overboard. When he said that to me, it was like, I get it. I understand it a little bit more now. He takes it like, I'm going to show you, my dad, I'm going to show you the world, that I'm supposed to be here, that, I'm here to change the world. So when I say you have responsibility, I think he has a responsibility because now he's talked this billionaire talk for a while. Now that he has this billionaire talk, he feels a responsibility to tell black folks we still not free, to get black folks to understand that, hey, we still got work to do. It starts with me. So my community, this world, this country, I'm gonna be at the forefront creating things for our people to be self-sufficient. I mean, he said another gem at the rally that, of course, didn't go viral, but he said this, and it make all the sense.
Inner cities, we moved to the inner cities, it was because of the Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution is over with now, it's time to move again. If you have agriculture as your business, you get tax breaks. Tesla, the original Tesla, said the earth is a giant generator. God has given us freedom. You can feed your family and survive off of earth, wind, Yes. Through proper engineering. But the education and the schools and these textbooks that have been given to you, have you ever got a textbook that said, okay, you can buy 100 acres for $100,000 in Middle America, and you can farm and feed your family? Has there ever been a class on that? Oh, but guess what? There's a reason why they said. Would you agree that there's a reason why they said there's no class on that?
They're lying to us.
I mean, those were things like that was said at this rally. Like he touched on some things that, like I said, if he was prepared, had a team behind him that I could rock with. Because, I mean, when you go vote, all you doing is circling a damn box. You just using a pencil to circle in a box. That's the only power you have. And the votes accumulate, so your vote matters and it counts. But that's it. So it's been plenty of times that I voted for a candidate and they didn't win. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, man, that's all you can do is you vote for the candidate that you like, and hopefully enough people feel the same way you feel. That's all it is. So when he says things like that, you know what I'm saying? Like, why Wyoming? Why? Because that's where the untapped land is. Back in wherever, when Walt Disney purchased a bunch of land in Florida for amusement parks and all that, and it was about family and things like that, Florida was untapped. But Wyoming is untapped. He found all these thousands of acres of land. He bought it, developing it, and his end goal is to build factories, and instead of having his products manufactured overseas, he wants to bring them here. I rock with that. Like, what the fuck? I rock with that. Like, shoot me if I'm wrong. Like what has Biden said or done that I'm supposed to enthusiastically go out in November, whatever, and vote for him? Like, and the fucked up part is that's what I'll probably do. And again, I ain't seen Django, but that sound very Stevenish, Django-ish. And that's all my man is trying to say. It's like, man, like we program, our minds is still in a situation where, like, man, like we just going with this flow with this man that has this checkered past, and we think that he getting ready to put us in this position that we haven't been in ever, and I don't think it's gonna happen. But again, Kanye went on these rampages. I mean, honestly, he was going through some stuff, but two things can be true. Like, he going through it, but it could be his truth. It could be his reality when he said, I've been trying to get a divorce for 2 years. I mean, hey, how can we prove that is not his truth? Obviously, he accused Kim of inappropriate behavior with Meek Mill. I mean, that could be some jealousy. Maybe that, some of the things that were alarming, come get me. They trying to 5150 me. But at the end of the day, when I Google 5150, that's just basically saying, man, if they come, they can involuntarily take him for 72 hours. I mean, of course, when he went through his first episode where he was in the hospital and they probably shot him up with a bunch of meds, he has said, I thought they was going to kill me. So that is a trigger. So when Kim and her family is basically saying, we need help, you need to go to the doctor, whatever, that's a trigger. So when I say he needs to see a psychotherapist to have those conversations as to where or how his bipolarism, and if you not watching, I use air quotes, how that began and how to deal with that. Everything is not treated with medicine. Again, medicine has a lot of side effects that don't make you feel good. You know what I'm saying? It zombies you out. And, you know, if you can deal with the triggers, avoid the triggers, you can treat your bipolar. Now, of course, if you just have very extreme bouts where you're a danger to yourself or you're a danger to others, then that's one thing. But now come to find out, Elon Musk said he checked on Kanye, called him. He was not by himself when he was going through these Twitter rants. He was not by himself. So now we see the Dame Dash, Justin Bieber, Dave Chappelle. So he's had people checking on him, with him. So, I mean, look, I'm just going to be honest. Like, does he need help dealing with the triggers? Yeah, he need help. I mean, we all need help. Like, again, I started going to see somebody, and I had been, going to see people periodically, but, I started back up in 2018, and, I've tried to, stay consistent, not just because I'm doing much better, but just because it's always good to just talk about some things, what's going on, how's it doing? Just talking to a professional in a setting where you can really, express yourself, and you paying somebody to listen, and it's just great, it's really great, like, to just say, here, take your medicine and zombie out, like, that's some bullshit, you know what I'm saying? So, so I'm not using Kanye's weapon, his mental illness as a weapon against him, like, that's just some bullshit, and, but a lot of people feel like, man, he does this when he's getting ready to release albums and art and things of that nature. So, again, both things could be true. He might have anxiety, especially when he released new music, especially when he has, Gap is a huge deal, like that could, Gap is a struggling company. It's, I don't want to call it dead, but it's pretty dormant right now. And, he's pretty much the savior. So he has to deliver. So there's a lot of pressure on him to deliver. And that could be a trigger. Again, the whole president thing, like, I'm not really taking it serious. I just think that, if his preparation and his team was set up, I would take it more serious. But again, like, Kanye is a billionaire, and I think, you have a responsibility as a black man when you've attained that type of wealth to give back to your people. And I think he understands that, and his method, and, him trying to change our mentality. He's definitely not chosen his words wisely. He's hurt feelings. He's offended people, but it has to be harsh because we doing the same shit over and over again, expecting different results, and that is insanity. So is he insane, or are we insane? Because he got his success, even though he got some mental health issues and what have you. He's still human, but at the end of the day, he got his wealth. He's provided for his immediate family. So when he says something, however idiotic and dumb and false, let's just keep it a buck, false. Let's understand that maybe he trying to send a message. Maybe he trying to send a message. Our mentality needs to change. Like we in the same boat in 2020 as we are in 16, especially with the presidential stuff. We getting ready to vote for a flawed candidate that has a checkered past, and we have no policy, no campaign points. He's been quiet. When he does open his mouth, he says some dumb shit just like Kanye. But this is who we pinning our hopes and dreams on. At least Kanye has a responsibility to give back to the black community. I'm not even gonna say he doesn't really have a responsibility. I mean, it's just, he talking that white supremacist shit. He pointing it out. He putting his money where his mouth is. He got black workers working, building his shelters and his factories. All the money that he's donated, he's pretty much donated to liberal and black causes. I mean, so he putting his money back where the people, where his people at. So, I'm not getting ready. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a counselor. I'm not a psychotherapist. I'm not a psychiatrist. So I'm not getting ready to be, the next in line of online therapist. So it's not my place to sit up here and say he off his rocker, he need his meds or this, that, and the other. I'm just saying two things can be true. He could be off his rocker. He could need his meds. All that could be true, but that man might be going through some shit. And I think two things are true. So that's my Kanye rant. That's what I wanted to get in here to talk about. I know at times I sounded like he sounded at that damn telethon, but just pray for Black America. Pray for America. Like, they wilding out there in Portland. Trump sending National Guards to populated cities, Chicago being one. It's a lot going on, man. People, the economy is messed up, and all Black Twitter care about is what Kanye West done said. It's kind of fascinating, just how this man has our energy, and he triggers us one way or the other. I mean, and it's been like this. It's been like this when he did Taylor Swift like that. I mean, he's had these incidents where he's done erratic shit. He's ranted at a lot of shows. They call them rants, where he'll go off and just talk for, 10, 15 minutes. And he even does it kind of at his Sunday service, when I went to the one in Chicago, he was just like, they have you thinking like, you can't live for God or you can't live for the Lord. They was telling me not to use these beats on, to talk about God. And so, I mean, he does this. He does this a lot. And I think one of the reasons why I came in here to talk about it, and I've been ranting and talking for an hour and a half, but it's just like, the dumb shit he has said, and I'm gonna catch heat for this, but I really feel like he needs to understand, Kanye needs to understand that his relationship with Jay-Z should be over. Like, maybe, hopefully they can get to a situation where they can communicate. But as far as just really talking and having dialogue, like, that should be a wrap. And, Jay-Z has been opportunist. Jay-Z has been a user. Jay-Z has only stood next to people that he can benefit, that can benefit him. And, if that's your little brother, if that's family, the way he's distanced himself from Kanye, that's some sucker shit. And, if you want to keep it a buck, Jay-Z do a lot, and I came on here a couple weeks ago and said I'm not, but I changed my damn mind. You know what I'm saying? And I just got to call a spade, and no, I'm not in Hollywood. I don't know the ins and outs of their relationship and whatever. But, one thing that I know is one person became a millionaire became a billionaire off his name. The other became a billionaire peddling booze to the hood. Now, Mr. Paper Plane, Sean Carter, Jay-Z himself, always got that paper plane hat. But go to Lids, Foot Locker, you can't find that paper plane hat. So you got to order it online. I get it. You taking the middleman out. But I bet you can go to your local corner store that sell liquor and buy that Douce. Half pint, fifth, whatever. I bet you can go find that. So that just tell me what his intention is and what he trying to peddle to the people. And then when people get arrested or when people protest, then he just throw a little bail money or throw a little money, and I don't want to say little, but you know what I'm saying? That's where he throw the money. What kind of job is he created for randoms? But you got all the Live Nation, Rock Nation, you got all these, Tyler, you got all these things that supposed it. I mean, it's a picture floating around where ain't nothing but white people, in the picture that's employees. That's when you started. So I do, and I want to address it because I got a lot of Jay-Z fans that are friends, and when they, and I probably do feel like Kanye probably yearns to have that relationship, and that ship is sailed. And my thing is, let it sail. You got your fortune off your name. Homie got his off peddling booze to the hood, and that's just facts. If you look at his portfolio, yeah, it's diverse, but the majority of his billions come from Ace of Spade and Douce. So, call it whatever you want. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. You know what I'm saying? And this black coffee, no sugar, no cream. Kenneth Jinx. I said it. I meant it. Kanye dropped that album. Go find you a therapist to talk to. I hate to say it, but you was on some bullshit, but I understand you. And you spoke your truth online on them Twitters. You apologized yesterday. Good deal. You know what I'm saying? I think Shorty, got love for you. Whether it work, whether there's a future in that's up to y'all house. But at the end of the day, two things can be true. I think that's gonna be the name of this. Two things could be true. Crazy and real. episode 74. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. Man, hit a brother up. I mean, if you want me to give you a call and we can talk about it in the next episode, I'm open for that. But this is Black Coffee.
Black Coffee, No Sugar, No Cream podcast.
Episode 74. Once again, we everywhere where you can listen to podcasts. Thank you for all your support. I know it's some stuff that I probably meant to say but didn't get to say. That always happens to me when I end, but I ramble for a long time talking about one thing, so I know I said a lot. But again, Black Coffee, No Sugar, No Cream, episode 74. I'm signing out, and peace to my co-host, Brother Timothy. We still just trying to make it happen. This is a Sunday night, so people humping, people grinding, and until we can get paid, it just ain't gonna be top priority. Like I'm in here on a Sunday night, so that's just not a typical day to be recording a podcast. But I wanted to get this off. And y'all know Brother Timothy, he may not care as much as I care about this. So, that's still family. We still rocking. And when we come back, we gonna grace it like we never left. So, that's that. And until then, may peace be unto you. And in the original Arabic language, that means assalamu alaikum.
Y'all finished or y'all done? I ain't got no more talking.
Peace, y'all.